With Champions League football all wrapped up for Arsenal this season, the attention turns to next year and the summer. Who are we going to sign, Gyökeres or Sesko? And is there pressure on Mikel Arteta for next season? This is the Arsenal Roundup at Arsenal Unfiltered. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Roundup. This is a show that we do here at Arsenal Unfiltered, covering all the Arsenal news and specifically at the moment transfer news, transfer gossip. We are going to be doing some transfer stuff in the second half of this show. There is a couple of things I want to talk about. In the first half, however, thinking about Max Dowman, Jurrien Timber and Paul Merson of all people. We will get into that and more, including a little discussion on the striker debate right now, which I think is probably going to be coming down to something that Arsenal fans probably don't want it to come down to. But I will get onto that. Before I get started, wherever you are, I hope you are well and you have enjoyed the start of your week. It's Wednesday, 12 minutes past 6 here in the UK, so an early one for me, doing some pre-recording of other episodes as well, so you'll see some of those coming out over the next few weeks, so look out for those as we head into the summer. And yeah, Southampton, one game left. We are nearly there. It's been a slog of a season, but we are getting into that point where we are about to have a break from football. So well done, everyone, for getting there. You know, this time last year, we didn't want this to come. We wanted to just keep playing and playing and playing. But unfortunately, it did end last season. This season feels a bit different. You know, it feels like everyone, club, players, manager, fans are all ready for that break. Let's start talking about some of the news then, and we have had a bit of, I'm going to say disappointing, but really not surprising news come out this week. There was an exclusive from Sam Dean. He works at the Telegraph, reports on Arsenal a lot. Jurrien Timber set to undergo an ankle procedure. The fullback has been managing fitness issues in recent weeks, and clubs and medical staff have decided he needs a procedure to address the problem. It remains unclear how long he will be ruled out for. I mean, when I say it's no surprise, there's two things there, isn't there? He's played so many minutes. It's quite unbelievable to come off the back of a full season out with an ACL and come and do what Jurrien Timber has done. Now, he has played in all competitions. Yeah, I've got it set to all competitions. He's played 3,666 minutes. He has the fourth most of any Arsenal outfield player after William Saliba, Declan Rice and Thomas Partey. For context, William Saliba has played nearly 800 more minutes, and no wonder he's had a little hamstring problem this week off the back of the game with Newcastle. But yeah, Timber has played a lot more than we would have wanted him to, I think. If you look a little further down the list, Ben White is only at 1,443. Only 25 matches he has contributed to, compared to 48 for Jurrien Timber, so nearly half. We know why. Ben White's been under the knife as well. It's been a long season for Arsenal in terms of injuries. Second most injuries in the Premier League this year, with 67, 68, I think. Timber joins the list of Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Magalhaes, Ben White, Gabriel Jesus and Takahiro Tomiyasu, of all players who have had surgery this year. That is a decent little team, actually. You throw a couple of players in there to make an 11 and you have a fantastic, I mean, you got a fantastic attack. Jesus off the left, Havertz in the middle, Saka off the right. And you got a pretty good defence as well with Ben White, Gabriel at centre-back, Tomiyasu left-back, Timber right-back. Decent team that we have had not just out, but have to have surgery. I'm not surprised. Like I said, I actually think there are probably one or two more of these to come. I would not be surprised if Ødegaard goes under the knife over the summer. Like, he has not looked right for a long time. Started to look a little better in the last 2 or 3 games. PSG, Liverpool, Newcastle, he's had telling contributions in all of those games, which is good, but I still wouldn't be surprised if there was a clean-up on his ankle, the ankle injury that he got earlier this season. So yeah, we've got to keep an eye out for this, because we're all looking forward to next season, but I just have a very small 1% concern in the back of my brain that are all these players going to be ready to go for pre-season? I mean, we know Jesus won't be. We think Tomiyasu almost certainly won't be. There's now question marks over Timber. I think there's question marks over Gabriel. Will these guys be back and ready? Obviously, Havertz and Saka will be, but there's just a couple who I'm thinking, if you guys don't get a pre-season, does that put you on the back foot again for next year? Tomiyasu and Jesus, really big long-term injury issues. I think they are a separate conversation altogether, but Timber and Gabriel, players that we're going to need next year, and I hope they can recover in time to get a full pre-season under their belt. Another big bit of Arsenal news that has come out this week is that Max Dowman will officially be part of the first team next season. Now, I don't think that means he's not going to play any kind of under-21s or lower age group football. What we do know is he will absolutely be on the pre-season tour. That's exciting. I don't usually watch the pre-season tour, but obviously I've got a podcast this year, so I will be watching it, and I will be keeping a close eye on Max Dowman when he plays there, because he has, I've seen clips of him, and wow, his dribbling is quite incredible. The way he can just shield the ball, get himself in between the opposition and the ball, and just manage duels, managing attacking moments with his body. It's really impressive. It is reminiscent of how Miles Lewis-Skelly and Bukayo Saka get themselves between the ball and the player. I mean, it's a little Hale End trick that really is helping us out right now, and I love it. So Max Dowman will be on the tour. We will be watching that with great interest. He has just played in a 1-1 draw for the under-17s at the European Championships, England under-17s I should say, the European Championships. And so is Jack Porter, but obviously Max Dowman is the one we were all looking at. And he apparently has done quite well, although he didn't score the goal. He got all 90 minutes. And we'll be keeping an eye on Max Dowman over that championship this summer in the pre-season tour, because I think that's going to be really interesting to discuss. I've spoken previously, I'd quite like us to sign someone like Xavi Simons. I like that as an idea. We've got Martin Odegaard, Fabio Vieira's coming back. We've got Ethan Nwaneri, who can play in that attacking midfield role. And then we've got Max Dowman coming in. Could we be flush with attacking midfielders all of a sudden? I don't know. I do think it's going to be too early for Max to make a telling contribution next year. I think the first team inclusion will be much more of a you're going to train with us, and we might put you on the bench for the cup games and get you used to that atmosphere, but you're not going to be, I doubt he's going to be over sort of 500 minutes next season. I'd be amazed if he was over that. I reckon if he does get over that, he's probably had a fantastic impact somewhere and has managed to wangle himself some more game time. So that is a potential way he can get more time. But yeah, I think it will be kind of a come and train with us, get used to the environment, and we'll see for next season, 26-27. So I don't think Dowman will be there. I've said before, I'd like to see Ethan play more on the right wing. I think that's where he's more comfortable. Odegaard, Vieira, wouldn't mind seeing Vieira come back and not be sold, be kept around the side. But I do want to see another attacking midfielder come in. And yeah, I think that's business Arsenal have got to do. Max Dowman, however, will be in and about it. So very, very exciting. Final thing before I go on to transfers for the second half of this podcast is the Paul Merson quotes. I mean, I didn't cover it in the Newcastle Review podcast because this came out after the Newcastle game. Paul Merson was talking about Mikel Arteta in the debrief of that, and I just think it's so silly what he said, and it sparked debate online. I'm going to read a little bit here. Sky Sports pundit Paul Merson believes Mikel Arteta's position as Arsenal manager will be under threat if the Gunners are not in the Premier League's top 2 at Christmas next season. Arteta's got until Christmas, he said on Super Sunday after Arsenal clinched Champions League qualification with their 1-0 win over Newcastle. They will have to be in the top 2 at Christmas for him to keep on going, or they'll go for someone else. Now look, I understand where Merson's coming from. He is essentially saying next year, you've got to be in the shout, you've got to be in the running. We can't be sort of third or fourth next year, we have to be, I think, winning it. I think no, we don't have to be winning it. I guess if everything is static and the conditions are good for Arsenal, we should be going and winning it, absolutely. But I think that's the point, isn't it? Of, you can't make these binary statements because everyone said about Arsenal this year they should be going and winning it, and then we lost Martin Ødegaard for 2 months, we lost Bukayo Saka for 4, we lost Kai Havertz for 4, we lost Martinelli for 1, we've lost Gabriel for 3. All of these things happened, and that should have changed the analysis from Arsenal have to go and win it to, okay, the scenario is different now, let's see what Arsenal can do. So saying things like, oh, he has to be top 2 at Christmas doesn't make any sense, right? What if Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal all go on a tear and Arsenal are 1 point back of Liverpool and Manchester City in third? Well, that binary statement doesn't make any sense anymore, does it? What if Arsenal turn up to the start of the season and, like this year, they just are butchered with injuries? Are we going to get rid of Mikel Arteta again? I mean, I might get rid of some of the medical stuff if we're butchered with injury again next season, but I don't think I'd get rid of Mikel Arteta. And I think the other thing that makes this a really silly comment is there has to be someone out there that you think is better. So for all of these people who are talking about, and look, I'll make my position very, very clear. I'm not Mikel Arteta no matter what next season. I think if we end the season without a trophy and the situation has been good for us, then we probably do need a conversation. We probably do need to be thinking about it. I certainly support and back him and want him to go and win things at Arsenal and think he can do that. And I'm not Arteta out in any way. I just think if we go next season again without a trophy, we might just have to consider some things. Again, that's not saying he definitely should leave. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, but if you are going to consider it, and if we don't win a trophy next season, there still has to be someone better out there. There still has to be someone that you look at and go, okay, yeah, players are going to want to play for you, because a lot of players want to play for Mikel Arteta. You can throw criticisms at Arteta about his substitutions, or maybe some of the players that he's had an input in signing and stuff like that, or driven the signings of. Fine. I don't think you can criticize or say that Mikel Arteta doesn't make players better. He absolutely does, right? So players want to come and play for him. They want to come and play for Arsenal, and he's been a big part of driving that. So if you're looking at saying, okay, well, if he's not top 2 at Christmas, they have to change. Well, who's out there at Christmas? Who's out there at Christmas that's going to attract players to come to Arsenal? Who's out there at Christmas that's going to show kind of the coaching adaptability that Mikel Arteta's shown at times this season, and for previous seasons as well? Who out there is going to maintain that culture that Mikel Arteta's set, and who out there is going to maintain that ability to have a fantastic record against the big six as well? You've got to consider all of these things, because actually anyone that's saying, I'm Arteta out, you've almost got to be able to say, okay, well, who do you want to come in? It's like saying, I don't think Kai Havertz should play for Arsenal up front. Okay, well, who do you want to sign? Well, I don't like Gyökeres, I don't like Sesko, I don't like any of these strikers that are out there. Okay, well, it's Kai Havertz then, isn't it? It's the same thing with Mikel Arteta. Be really careful what you wish for. And I think Paul Merson has said that, and it's annoying, because Paul Merson should be an Arsenal man. And in that moment, he didn't feel like an Arsenal man. He felt like a Carragher or a Neville trying to get a headline. And that's what he's got, to be fair, and he sparked a lot of debate online. Binary comments wind me up, no end, because there are worlds next year where Arsenal aren't in the top 2 at Christmas and go on and win the Premier League. That can happen. There's a world next year as well where Arsenal are top 2 or first, running away with it, and they don't win the Premier League. It's a silly binary comment, and we need to kind of judge people over a full season, I think. Okay, I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, I'm going to do the transfer news. Sorry for interrupting everyone, but I am on a mission and I need your help. I'm trying to get Arsenal Unfiltered into the ears of as many people as possible, and the best way that you can help me do that is by going and leaving a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts at. That really, really helps me grow the podcast and allows more people to hear the Arsenal Unfiltered coverage 3 times a week. So if you would be so kind to go and leave a review wherever you get your podcast from, I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the Arsenal Roundup. In the first half, we did the Jurrien Timber surgery, Max Dalmer being promoted to the first team, and the silly, silly Paul Merson quotes that we had after the Newcastle game. Right now, though, we are going to do transfers, because that's all that we want to hear about right now. We want to be talking about new players coming into the club, and we have heard from Josh Kroenke earlier this week. He has promised the club will invest this window and are clear on what needs to be done. So I think his comments were in the pre-match kind of pack for the Newcastle game, and obviously he has been part of the team that have brought Andrea Berta in, and this process has been going on for a little while now. We're yet to see exactly what influence Andrea Berta will bring. Everything that's coming out about Andrea Berta is that he is a businessman first and a football man second, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, we had Edu for a long time, who was a football man first, and he was a people guy. You know, he had great relationships with a number of people across the football space, but Andrea Berta sounds like whilst he has those relationships, he's not necessarily a people person. He is a hard bargain businessman, drives deals and gets things done, and it sounds like that's what we're going to experience this summer with Andrea Berta, and I'm very excited for that. The question is, how many deals are we going to get done? We've got players that are going to go out. We've got players who need new contracts. So look, we've got Jorginho, Kieran Tierney. They're almost certainly going to go. Neto and Sterling will go back to their clubs. There's rumours about Trossard and Kivior going. So there's a bunch there. We've got contracts that need to be done. Saliba, Saka, Gabriel, top of that list for me, as I'm sure they are for everyone. So we need to do those contracts, and then we need to bring in, 5 or 6 players. It's incredible. We need a backup goalie. Although I think that can be done maybe on a loan or something like that. We probably need we either need 2 defensive midfielders or 1, depending on how you see that midfield balancing. A striker, a left winger, an attacking midfielder, and then my mileage varies on whether we need another centre-back or not. Obviously, we were linked with Dean Howson. He's now gone to Real Madrid. So there is tons to do. So Andrea Berta is going to be a busy, busy boy. Martin Zubimendi already done. One deal that has been rumoured is Jakub Kivior away to Serie A. I mean, this has been a rumour for a very, very long period of time. Apparently Napoli are keen. Napoli having a good season in Serie A, but apparently Arsenal have too higher asking price of 30 million. Napoli don't want to pay that. I do not understand that from Napoli's point of view. If the asking price is 30 million for a player who has shown the form Jakub Kivior has, and the reliability and the ability to come in having not played, essentially any Premier League minutes, why would Napoli not want to do that? I don't get that. In this day and age, whether Napoli see Jakub Kivior as a first-team option or a rotation option, 30 million is not bad. For a player that is established as a Champions League level player. This is not an 18-year-old that you're saying, okay, we'll bring him in and we'll see. Obviously, 30 million is very expensive for a player like that. This is a guy who can play at the highest of high levels in the Champions League and acquit himself fairly well. Do I think he is the best centre-back that you could go and sign? No. But for 30 million quid, Jakub Kivior certainly feels like an able deputy. I mean, we got him for 26, I think it was. So we're only asking for 4 million more, and he's definitely improved while he's been with us. So yeah, a strange one that. But apparently Napoli want Arsenal to lower their price tag. And on price tag, I think it's really, really interesting what is developing with Gyökeres and Sesko right now. And I think this discussion has been going on a long time about, okay, which one fits us best style-wise, and which one, do you go for Sesko, who has more potential and real sale value? Do you go for Gyökeres? Because people say that Gyökeres is oven ready. I'm not sure I believe that. I think there's a big difference between the Portuguese Primeira League and the Premier League in England. I think that's a very different scenario. We've seen it before with Darwin Núñez. Amazing player in Portugal, comes over, struggles in England. I think that is not as oven ready as people think. But, you know, we've had these discussions about style. Sesko's better in the air. Gyökeres hits the ball a bit harder. The goal record, all of this sort of stuff. I am starting more and more to get the feeling that this is simply going to come down to price. Simply going to come down to price. Because I think Arsenal like both options. And I think they recognise that in the perfect ideal world, they'd go and get Isak. But Isak's going to cost too much money and not allow them to do the other business that they need to do. So I think Sesko, Gyökeres, and I'm going to throw Nico Williams into this discussion as well. It's all about price, because we've been looking at players who have release clauses in that kind of 50 to 70 million pound range. And I think we are looking for multiple players of 50 to 70 million pounds as opposed to one big bang player at 80 to 100. So I think it's really interesting. Recent reports have been that, you know, Sporting want a really quick deal on Gyökeres. So do Arsenal. Manchester United are apparently joining that discussion. If I was Gyökeres, I have no idea why you would go to Manchester United. Massive club, of course, and I'm sure even though they are, you know, sacking dinner ladies here, there, and everywhere, and generally just making a fool of themselves and the reputation of their club, I'm sure they've got plenty of money to pay Gyökeres if they wanted to. And obviously Amarin's there, he's got a good relationship with him, but I don't understand why you would go there, because the football project is just terrible. But it looks like Sporting want this quick deal, it looks like Arsenal want this quick deal, and apparently there is a new price tag of £60 million. But that price has kind of steadily gone down. You know, there was talk maybe 6 months ago when this rumour very originally came out that Sporting would hold out for that coveted €100 million. It's the opposite story for Sesko. You know, he started when we first heard about him, £50 million signing, young talent, a bit of a release clause, but apparently his release clause has grown with performance-related impacts, and we're looking more now around 60. No, it's higher than that. It was 60, around 86 million pounds. Sorry, and I'm thinking, I've been Sesko over Gyökeres for a long period because I think there is a more value to the goals he's scored in the Bundesliga than the goals Gyökeres has scored in the Primera Liga. But now I'm looking at those prices and I'm thinking, this is a bit weird. You know, I'm not sure it's quite as cut and dry anymore. Frankly, I think either of them improves the squad. And I also think both of them are not a surefire thing. It's a very weird one. We're looking at these two players and we're almost going, which of these two golden eggs are we going to pick? Whereas I'm looking at them and thinking, both of them have got to dislodge Havertz, I think, before they get in the team. If we signed Isak, it's a game changer, of course. But I don't think these two are game, set and match. They are going to come in and play every game and win us everything under the sun. And I think it's a very similar discussion on price with Nico Williams and the fact that he's not necessarily a perfect fit or a perfect player. Lot of talk about Nico Williams has a very affordable release clause, but his wage requests are huge. He plays for Bilbao. Bilbao only use players from the Basque region. That's how they recruit. It's a very strange law or rule or policy they have in their club, however you want to term it. What it means is they pay these players inordinate amounts of money to keep them away from Barcelona and Real Madrid, and they need to sell players to fund that. So they have release clauses, as all players do in Spain. And Nico Williams is not too terrible. I believe it's around £60 million. But he's paid a huge amount of money, and he would probably come in and be Arsenal's highest earner if he didn't take some sort of wage cut, certainly in the top two, along with Kai Havertz. So, yeah, I think these are all financial decisions, guys. That's where I'm feeling at this morning. I think it's starting to become less about style because none of those three guys are a sure thing. If it was Alexander Isak, I think it would be, you know, we'd be talking about this guy will come in and absolutely destroy other teams when he's playing for Arsenal. You know, he's got 20-odd goals for Newcastle this year, and I think Newcastle have been brilliant, but probably has more chance of scoring in an Arsenal team. So he would probably get more goals for us, and I think if we add any more goals to our team, we are right there and probably going to get the job done, all other things being equal. Sesko, Gyökeres and Williams. Williams definitely doesn't have the track record of scoring goals. Sesko has it, but he's still young and it's in the Bundesliga. And Gyökeres has an incredible record, but it's in the Primera Liga. So I think there's certainly a chance that Arsenal are looking at these players and going, none of these guys are the sure thing like Isak is. So we need to be careful, not spend too much money, not do another Nicolas Pepe deal, where it goes horribly wrong. There will be the kind of looking at the personality match as well. It's a business transaction at the end of the day, guys, and they need to make sure they're going to get a return for their investment. So I don't think any of these three players will come down to, is it the perfect football fit? I think it's going to come down to the price. These release clauses that keep changing on us all the time. Gyökeres is going down. Sesko's is going up. We have no idea how much Nico Williams will ask for in terms of wages. So it's all a moving picture right now. But, unfortunately, apart from Martin Zubimendi, we have no concrete transfers to talk about. Yeah, that's a shame, really, isn't it? But I can't complain. It is still May. The season is still going on, and we are still kind of in that kind of looking forward place rather than in the news reporting cycle, as it were. So, look, I think if I was to guess, I think the scales have leaned more towards Gyökeres, and he wouldn't be my first choice, but at the prices that we're talking about for Sesko right now, I think he is making more sense to me. I'm going to leave it there, guys, because truthfully, there isn't too much more new stuff to talk about in terms of transfers. Obviously, very exciting that we could get one of those three players in, but we will wait for some more developments to come out. And of course, we're not the only ones looking for a striker, so that also might influence where we end up going. That was episode 16 of the Arsenal Roundup. We're cranking these out now. There will be a lot more of the Arsenal Roundups coming out, obviously, over the summer. We're talking about transfers all the time. And we will be, like I said, I'm doing some pre-recording. You will start to see some kind of reflective content on the season and maybe the wider Premier League season as well. So if that's something you're interested in, leave a review or come and find me on Blue Sky. It's Arsenal-unfiltered at bsky.social.com. Come and find me and let me know what you want to hear. We've spoken about Max Dowman. He was going to be in the first team this season. Jurrien Timber going under the knife, and Paul Merson generally being a bit of a moron. Sesko, Gyökeres and Williams might all come down to the price. One player who is coming down to price for Napoli at least is Jakub Kiwior as well. Andrea Berta has a lot to do. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for following. Thank you for listening, and I will speak to you very, very soon.